It's been a while since we did a roll call to see where all of you guys are watching from, so I thought that'd be a fun way to start today's show. Shout out your city. Let me know where you're watching from, and we'll be giving some shout outs to all of you that comment. What's going on, Broncos Country? Matthew Peterson from Chat Sports here with 4 pretty wild and interesting trade ideas on today's show. I thought it'd be fun to go through some of these bizarre trades that I've seen tossed around the internet, twitter.com, and all that. So we're going to break them down one by one. And let's start with the Mona Lisa of all of them. I saw this on Twitter yesterday, and you may as well. DNVR suggesting, if you were George Paton, would you trade a 2024 and a 2025 first-round pick for Jaire Alexander? Now, they didn't say should the Broncos do this. They kind of left themselves where they could be like, well, it's what George Paton might do or might not do. Not what we're saying you should do. But no, this would not happen for a lot of reasons, all right? It's not a question of, at least I'm not going along the lines of, if I were George Paton. I'm just going to go along the lines of, could this trade actually ever happen? So no, I don't think it would ever happen for a handful of reasons. One reason is it takes 2 to tango. And I see no way where the Packers would be interested in doing this. They are in win now mode. They only have Aaron Rodgers for another 1, 2, 3 seasons, if that. I mean, it's hard to really say how long they've got number 12. They're not looking to trade away their best player on defense when they lured Aaron Rodgers back somehow after he said, no, I'm not going back to Green Bay. This is it. 2021 last dance. Now, Jaire Alexander has been one of the best defenders in the National Football League lately. I mean, last year we're talking about an all-pro corner, first-round pick out of Louisville, who has been a shutdown corner for the Green Bay Packers, and they rewarded him so. They gave him a huge, fat contract extension just the other month. 4-year extension, total money of $84 million, making him the highest paid cornerback at $21 million on average per season, and they guaranteed 30 bones of that. So that's one big reason why George Paton, even if he wanted to trade for Alexander, it could not happen. The second reason I'll really focus in on is George Paton going to go full-on Rams F them picks mode? I don't believe so. We don't have a huge sample size to learn what kind of GM Paton is. Just because he traded away 2 firsts and 2 seconds to get Russell Wilson, I'm not going to all of a sudden jump into the pool of, well, that means Paton does not value picks. He'll trade them away for proven talent every single day of the book. Because if the Broncos were to do this, look at what they would have to work with in terms of first-round selections. They'd only have 1 first-round pick over a 5-year stretch, which is Patrick Surtain. Their first round pick this year ended up being Charles Cross, going to the Seattle Seahawks. Next year's first-round pick belongs to Seattle. That's a done deal. And then you'd have 2024 and 2025 belong to the Packers. That's 4 straight seasons without a first-round pick. That's tough. I know the Rams did it, but I don't know if every GM wants to be like LA. Now, we've got more trade analysis and breakdown to get to in just a moment, but if you're wondering why you should subscribe to the #1 Denver Broncos YouTube channel out there, according to my mom, well, here's a couple of reasons why. We've got free Broncos videos. We're hitting you guys up with the latest news and rumors. You are joining a strong army that is encroaching 8,500 subs. Just under 250 subs to go. So make sure you hit the subscribe button down below if you have not already. Another reason why I don't see a way this trade would happen is you just drafted Pat Surtain. You got him on his rookie deal through 2025. Are you really interested in taking on the #1 contract amongst all cornerbacks right now? I don't think so. I think you're very content if you're Paton, where you stand right now in the secondary room with Surtain, who's a top 10 corner. If he's not right now, he'll be at the end of this season. You like to believe Ronald Darby will live up to that 3-year contract you handed out to him in free agency last year. I thought K'Wan Williams was one of the more underrated free agent signings back in March, but he works in the slot anyway. Now, an argument could be, well, what if Surtain or Darby gets hurt and Ojemudia has to start? All right, it's not going to start raining meatballs. I mean, Ojemudia was a starter in his rookie season just 2 years ago. Plus, you just drafted Damari Mathis out of Pitt in round 4. So I'm pretty sure Paton is confident in where he stands amongst all the how all the cornerbacks are shaping out to be. But I'll let you guys weigh in here. I'll stop rambling for a second. Would you do this trade? Jaire Alexander, one of the best corners in the NFL, for 2 first-round picks. Give me a Y for yes or an N for no, Broncos Country, down below. Now, next up on the show, we're going to look at some interesting trade ideas that came over from Fansided. Before we started filming, producer Patrick Seatman, a new guy here at Chat Sports, is a Vikings fan. And we were talking about some of these trades because here's a bit of foreshadowing. It's all about the Vikings. It's all about Paton trying to reconnect with his old regime. And it's always an interesting metric when you want to talk about drafting or trading a player, mostly just trades right now, and you go, well, let's get the perspective of the other fan base and how they react to that trade. And we'll look at that more in just a second. But the first trade idea was Malik Reed going to the Vikings, actually reuniting with his old defensive coordinator, Ed, who was with the Broncos right before, Hackett came in and just pretty much outed the entire Fangio regime. But Malik Reed going over there, I'm not opposed to the idea of trading Malik Reed. It's a bit of a bummer, I think, if you want to trade away a player who led the team in sacks 2 seasons ago, where in 2020 he tallied up 8 sacks, 2 sacks before then. He's had a great story, and it's been fun to watch him. Now, is he a bona fide every down pass rusher? No, he's not. Right? That's kind of why you saw Paton go out and draft Nick Bonito and sign Randy Gregory. I don't think he had a ton of faith in Malik Reed and Bradley Chubb being a 1-2 punch coming off the edge. But I will add this. You really want to gamble with Randy Gregory and Bradley Chubb's health? You really want to bank on those 2 guys playing an entire season? I don't, personally. So with that in mind, Malik Reed coming off the bench would be an awesome backup, right? To have, for some teams, a starter be a backup outside linebacker because it feels like it's just inevitable at some point Gregory or Chubb will miss a game, and to have Malik Reed be the next man up, that's a pretty good next man up right there. But speaking of Bradley Chubb and Randy Gregory and their kind of health, what is your confidence level in Bradley Chubb this season? Scale it for me 1 to 100. Let me know in the comments how confident you are in Chubb going into 2022. All right, trade idea number 2, Eric Kendricks. Now, this is a trade I'm actually more interested in. So the trade idea is sending Kendricks to the Broncos to start alongside Josie Jewell at that inside linebacker position, because that's a group, that's a position I've talked at length before on the show about how I'm not really all that confident and sold on Alex Singleton or Jonas Griffith, whoever wins that job during training camp, being a starting linebacker. Singleton had some starts last season for Philly, but he was predominantly a special teams guy. And Jonas Griffith was a great trade pickup from San Francisco last year. But, I mean, I'm not trying to rain down on his parade. He had an awesome end to the season, but that doesn't mean I'm willing to just sign up for him being a starting linebacker week 1. Now, Eric Kendricks last season for the Vikings was very consistent and very reliable. In fact, right before we started filming, when producer Patrick saw this trade, his reaction was, no, please don't do this. And that's coming from a Vikings fan. So I think that's some good reassurance if the other team doesn't want that player to get traded away. That's how I feel it's a good meter to go up and go, all right, that's probably a good trade to pull off. So that's why I would be interested in this trade. Eric Kendricks has been sort of the heartbeat of this Vikings defense for years now. George Paton knows him. He's well familiar with him, with his time overlapping up in the Twin Cities. And I think Kendricks starting alongside Josie Jewell, that would be a good interior linebacker defense to help out on goal lines, because I know the direction of the NFL is all about speed. You don't want slow linebackers that can't keep up with slot receivers. But that doesn't change the fact you're going to have 4th and 1, 3rd and 2, goal line defenses where you need a linebacker to blow up a play, and that's what Kendricks can step in and do for you. We've got another trade idea to get to in just a moment, but an awesome deal is happening right now at Fanatics where you can get not one, but 2 shirts 40% off. It's a t-shirt combo sale. Chatsports.com/Broncos combo. Links in the comments and the description of today's show. So make sure you get yourself hooked up with 2 Broncos t-shirts, 40% off. Chatsports.com/Broncos combo. Final trade idea from Fansided. Cameron Dantzler coming over to Denver. Again, you get the connection of George Paton, who was working in the front office in Minneapolis and Minnesota back in 2020 when they drafted Dantzler in round 3. So clearly, I'm guessing Paton had some sort of affinity for Dantzler when this Vikings regime drafted him. Now, Cameron Dantzler last season for Minnesota was a bit of a, I don't want to say a head scratcher, but he was frustrating. I'll go with the word frustrating at times, where there were moments where he was making great plays on the ball and he was a reliable corner. And then there were some other moments which were what the fuck moments. Like, what was Dantzler doing? How was he letting his receiver get that wide open? Just completely smashing your beer on the floor moments of how did that happen? Now, we revisit the cornerback depth chart here just to refresh our memories of if they were to pick up Dantzler, or really just any kind of depth corner here. You know, I'm looking at this right now, and you've got 5 locks for the roster. Surtain, Darby, K'Wan Williams, Ojemudia, I'm going to call him a lock, and Mathis. Take 5-6 corners, so Bassie has already been a kind of a bubble candidate. I don't really feel there is a need to pick up another cornerback like Cameron Dantzler. I'm comfortable with Michael Ojemudia and Damari Mathis. I'm not saying that they're better than Dantzler, but you also only have 5 picks in the 2023 NFL Draft. You really need to get rid of another pick to bring in another corner who I can't definitively and confidently say is better than Michael Ojemudia or has more potential than Damari Mathis, who we haven't even seen take a real live snap yet. No, I'd rather hold on to one of those 5 picks than pick up another depth corner. Now, what was your favorite trade we looked at today? Was it the Jaire Alexander trade? I know it's fun to trade for star players, but going 4 straight years without a first-round pick, I don't know if that's fun. What about Malik Reed going to Minnesota, or bringing in Eric Kendricks to start alongside Josie Jewell, or adding some extra depth in the secondary by picking up Cam Dantzler? Let me know what your favorite trade was down in the comments, and if you have not subscribed to the channel, what are you doing? You got all the way this far in the video. We're doing something right here, so make sure you don't even have to smash the sub button. Everyone says smash the sub button. Just tap it. You can click it. You can just lick it. Whatever you want to do, just make sure you're locked into the best Broncos YouTube coverage out there.